Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight in college football. My guest today is the co-founder and director of operations for College Gridiron Showcase. His name is Craig Redd. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yeah. So usually I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
Ramapo College.
Ramapo, great.
Jersey guy.
So let's go back into high school.
Okay.
And tell me how you ended up picking Ramapo College. Did it start freshman year, senior year? How did it all begin?
It was fluke, quite honestly. It was all fluke. I had never heard of Ramapo College. I was set to go to Penn State. That's the only place I had my heart set on from the time I was probably about 5th grade. I got early admissions to Penn State. My guidance counselor just said, have a couple of safety schools just in case. She mentioned Ramapo. She knew I was going to kind of struggle. My mother was going to struggle trying to get me to Penn State. I had gotten some baseball money for Penn State, but it wasn't enough even back then. It was, minuscule type of money. Applied as a safety school to Ramapo. Heard back within about a month and a half, as Ramapo was really still starting to try to build their reputation. And went up there, fell in love with the campus. Figured I'd go up there for maybe a year, 2 years, get my grades, keep them up pretty good, and then transfer into the main campus of Penn State. Got to Ramapo and just fell in love.
Wow.
Fell in love with the school, met a lot of friends up there, really helped start some programs up there, and never looked back, just fell in love with it.
So did it begin junior year, senior year? Is that when
I went to a college prep school. My high school was a college prep school, so by the time I got to freshman year, it was already with the thought process and the academics, the way it was laid out, and even the athletics, it was all about college prep. So knowing where I went my freshman year, college was the main goal.
Good. So now you're at Ramapo College. How does someone go from Ramapo College and become the co-founder and director of operations for College Gridiron Showcase?
Took a while for me to figure things out. I went there. I was a baseball player, so I walked on for the baseball team. Played for a couple of fall seasons, one spring season. My body really started kind of breaking down physically a little bit. So as much as it pained me, I decided to give up playing baseball. Silly me, decided to play volleyball instead. So I started one of the founders of the men's volleyball team at Ramapo,
wow,
which is now really it's a national powerhouse. Fell in love with that game. It's the only thing that took me away from baseball for a while. But really, for me, sports is all I ever wanted to do. So once college finished up, I was looking for a way to give back. Athletics had given me so much in terms of just teach me about life. I mean, obviously my parents did that, but sports really taught me so much about life and how life is not always fair, but how to prepare for things. And I just wanted to find a way to give back. I started coaching a little bit, and then I found a great group that you were a part of, college-bound student athletes, and fell in love with helping families find their way, helping them try to get recruitment, helping them through the process a little bit, and fell in love with that idea. Mm-hmm. Did that for about 5 years. Got out of that because some of the athletes that we had worked with way back when with College Bound, they start calling the national office and saying, hey, I have a son who's being recruited by the NFL, who's being looked at for this sport. Do you have anyone that can help? And that wasn't what College Bound was all about, but I had just left to open up my own sports agency because, like everyone else, I wanted to be involved with pro athletics. Got in touch with some of those athletes, became an agent, and was able to start helping some of those athletes negotiate contracts and help them make the transition from being a college athlete to a pro athlete. Love that. Did it for about 15 years. During the tail end of my 15 years, I started helping some other people out, run some all-star games, or just kind of helping them a little bit as I was trying to get some of the athletes I had into those all-star games. Yeah. Started helping them run it a little bit and caught the bug. I realized I can help more athletes doing that and putting them in touch with NFL teams, or at least introducing them and making that transition, than I ever could as an agent. And because we were a small agency, so I fell in love with that. But the one game that I was helping, I didn't like the way the person was running the game. I thought he could do it differently, a little bit better, to help the athletes a little bit more. He didn't want to make those changes. I had a partner that I'd asked, hey, come see what we're doing here with this All-Star game. He and I just kind of complained on the ride home, at the airport. I would do this different, I would do that different, and I kind of challenged him. I said, well, if you think we can do it differently, do it. He's like, don't challenge me, and we started kind of looking at some different things, sketched out a plan for about 2 or 3 months, and before we knew it, we were already kind of committed ourselves that, this is what we're going to do. We're going into year 4 for 2018, and we've had great success. NFL teams consider us one of the 4 major college all-star games now, but absolutely love it, because really not only do we put the athletes in touch with the teams and let them get evaluated, we take a strong education standpoint about this. We really do a lot of educational seminars for the athletes, financial literacy, branding, budgeting, understanding what they're walking into, to really try to help them open their eyes, so when they get to the NFL level, they're not as shocked. It's not as much of a culture shock. It doesn't matter if you come from Alabama or Brockport. We try to help educate them so they're not getting that sticker shock when they get there and saying, whoa, what's going on here? We try to help ease that process.
So everyone that's coming to the showcase that are college athletes, college football athletes, are they all seniors? Are they all
have
juniors?
to be. They're all seniors, so they are all completed their eligibility. So college football, you get basically 5 years for 4. To play 4. So they've all completed their college eligibility.
And do they all are they all from all the different divisions? Division 1, 2, 3?
All across the board.
Really?
Last year we had 168 players that participate in our event. 124 different colleges and universities. Wow. We had everyone from FBS school to NAIA. Our slogan is, it doesn't matter where you play, it's how you play. If you're a top athlete and you belong, we want you in our event.
So how do you find these athletes to come to the event?
We scout. We scour the country. We have a great scouting staff. The slogan is, for our director of college, our director of player personnel, can't stop, won't stop. He doesn't sleep. It's ridiculous. He scours the country, along with myself, my partner, the rest of his scouting staff. We scour the country, and we watch ball all the time. Football 24/7.
And then do they get letters?
They get invited, right? So it's not an open casting call. We invite the players that we really look for, and that we want to participate in the game. We invite them. I would love to say we get them all. We don't, because there are 3 other major all-star games that have been around a little bit longer than we have. They get a lot of those players, but we send out invites to the players at their school. We send it to their coaches, to their families. However we can get a hold of these players, we go ahead and we personally send out invites to them to participate.
And is there a conference that you have attached to the game, where you teach all of these different?
It's part of our event. So when they come to our event, it's not just the on the field stuff and, hey, great, thanks. We put a whole program together that's tied in between practices, after practices, before practices, where we have some sponsors, but basically we put together what we call a symposium talking about all this. So I think last year we had about 10 hours worth of educational programs that we tied into our event. Before practice, after practice, and then in the evening last year we had 16 hours of scheduled interview times for the players to meet with the NFL clubs, because that's why they're there. This is the first chance for teams to officially talk to the players. They go to the schools, they watch practice, they might say hello in the hallway, but they respect the coaches and really don't do too much interacting with the players. All-Star games are really the first chance that the teams and the players have a chance to interact. So we make sure we schedule time. Other games, teams grab them in between practices, in between meetings, but we schedule minimum 5 hours each night for the teams and the players just to talk, and that's what that evening is all about.
So do you invite every NFL team to come there?
Every NFL team's invited. We've had the last 2 years, we've had 30 of the 32 NFL teams there. You know, those last two we're going to get. We had 111 NFL scouts at our event last year. So the scouts come out in droves to see the talent that we had. Over the first 3 years now, we've had 273 athletes from our event get NFL opportunities.
So now, where is the event? When does it usually take place? And give me a breakdown of how it all works.
Okay. We're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've actually just moved our event this year, so we're going to be going to Addison, Texas, which is a suburb of North Dallas. It takes place the first week in January. So we usually go along the same lines as the National Championship Week. So this year it will be, or 2018, it will be January 6th through the 10th, 2018 in Addison, Texas. We're the first all-star event or postseason event out of the gate.
Wow.
Senior Bowl concludes, you know, all the all-star games, but we're the first one out of the gate. You know, so we try to set the pace for everybody.
And then is a 2-day event, 3-day event?
It's a 5-day, 4-night event. So, you know, our players will come in usually Saturday. You know, Saturday or Sunday, we'll do a few hours worth of the educational stuff ahead of time. Sunday, we do some more education. We do a media day where our players get to talk to media from all over the country. Either they're on site, some places do Skype interviews, you know, and interview a lot of our players. And then from about 2:30, 3 o'clock that afternoon until about 10 that night, it's all about NFL interviews. Players just get to sit down and the scouts come out. They call the players that they're looking to bring in. Each team brings players in. We have a big ballroom set up where we have every NFL team in that ballroom.
Wow. Teams
come out, grab the players that they're looking for, interview them. When they're done, they come and get the next group of players, you know, whoever they're looking for. On Monday, we do weigh-ins. So just like you see at the combine, players do height, weight measurements. They do wingspan, arms, hands. You know, they do full measurements for all the teams. Wow. Then one group hits the field Monday morning after the weigh-ins. The other group goes into seminars. When the first group is finished on the field, the second group is already down there ready to get on the field. They start their practice. The second group showers up. They come back to the hotel and they do their seminars. So we really kind of keep it like a fine-tuned machine. Yeah. You know, we have breakfast and lunch in between there. As soon as everyone's done for the day, they hit a couple of seminars again for another hour or two, and then they have dinner. And then from about 5:30 until about 10 o'clock that night, just all NFL interviews. And schedule just repeats on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, each group gets a scrimmage. So they do about a 2-hour scrimmage. After their scrimmages, they're done. They head home. We try to keep their bodies nice and fresh. We make a big deal about recovery and health. So this year, one of the things that we're going to do, we have a recovery room that's going to be set up for players. Mm-hmm. So for pre and post practice assessment, even at during the end of the night, they'll have some stretch therapy with our conditioning coaches. We have some yoga set up in the morning for them to kind of work some kinks out. Yeah. So it really is all about recovery and trying to keep these guys fresh, but also let them put their best foot forward for these NFL clubs.
So that brings me to a question then. Parents, do they have to pay for their kids to get down to Dallas, Texas? How does an all-star game even work with the parents?
Every all-star game is a little bit different. We take care of things once the player gets there. Player has to get to Dallas. Unfortunately, it's just too expensive to try to take care of everything. We did that first year, and it really is very expensive. Typically, the agents take care of that for them because by that point in time, once the kid's done with their college eligibility, mm-hmm. they can start signing with agents. So typically, agents will take care of that. In some cases, parents do take care of that for the players. But I'm glad you brought parents because we're the only all-star game. We have a program on Tuesday specifically designed just for parents. just to give the parents the same education that these athletes get, because parents have been with these players from the time they were in Pee Wee football through college. They've always had a big say, always been heavily involved. Once you start going to the pro ranks and these players sign with agents, parents lose that control. Agents just don't always have the time to fill the player in on what's going to happen, what the process is, and then turn around and take that same amount of time and do it for the parents. Some agents do, but a lot of times you don't, and really these young men are 21, 22, 23, maybe even some 24-year-old. They're men, but they're still young men, but the agent now works for them directly, not for the parent.
Right.
And so the parent it gets cut out of that process. So we try to bring them back into that process just so they understand what their son's about to go through for the next 8 to 12 months, because it happens so fast. So we do a lot of the financial literacy, because every parent thinks, NFL, my son's going to make $1 million a season. That's just not the way it works, especially for the players that we get. We get the 4th through 7th round player, the free agent player. They're usually making league minimum, which is still nice, but it's not close to the $1 million a year. No one talks to them about FICA, players look at who's this FICA guy, No one understands that you're getting taxed on that. You have to pay 3% to your agent. There are things that you're paying down, so you're not getting that big sum of money that you think you are. Plus, you only get paid during 17 weeks of the season. You don't get paid all year long. Families don't fully understand that. So giving them that financial literacy, helping them understand why the budget's important. Even though parents are used to budgeting, they're not used to budgeting that type of money, and to make that stretch for the course of the year. Understanding what their son's doing from the time that they leave the All-Star game until almost the end of the NFL season. Families don't understand it because it happens so fast. As soon as a kid leaves our All-Star game, they go off to start training for the combine or their pro day. After that, they start getting ready for interviews, or maybe teams are bringing them in-house for some workouts, or maybe teams are going out there for some workouts. After those workouts, then you have the draft right behind it. As soon as the draft happens, within the following week, most of these players go to rookie mini camps. Things happen so fast, the players' heads are spinning, so they can't really understand themselves. So it's hard to explain to mom and dad what's happening. And so we have some industry professionals who have been through this for a long time, and we try to help bring mom and dad into the picture just so they understand what's going on and why their son's so stressed out, or how they can help their son, and just kind of be there and listen. And even though they're trying to find out questions, sometimes the best way to find things out is just to listen, without asking a question, because their sons are so stressed, they can't fully explain it to mom and dad just yet.
Yeah. Now, do you give literature out to the moms and dads?
We don't. Okay. We don't.
It's just all talking.
Right. And we welcome them to take notes, and all our seminars for mom and dad are typically about an hour. So I mean, we usually try to go into as much detail as possible. If they have questions, all our professionals are there the entire week. What a lot of parents do, pull us off to the side. Hey, can you go through this again a little bit? Can you talk about this again? And they ask a lot of questions.
So do you find that the athletes that come to your event, they all have agents, or is there a handful that don't have agents yet? They're just going through the motions.
There's a handful. Yeah, I think there's a handful that don't have agents. I'm going to say most of the players that we get, I'm going to say 85 to 90% of them come there with agents.
Okay.
The other 10% are still searching for agents, or maybe they've been talking to some people, they haven't signed with them yet.
You find people signing right there?
We have. I've actually seen agents show up, players there. They've been talking for a while, but because things happen so quick, maybe the kid had a late bowl game. Right after their bowl game, they were getting ready to come to us. They've already kind of expressed to the agent, yes, hey, I'm going to sign with you, but between the end of the bowl game and the time they come to us, maybe only a few days, and the agent can't get there, and said, you know what, hey, we'll get you out there, and then they sign. Yeah. But yes, I have seen players pull, agents and players go to the side and finally officially sign their deals.
And being that you've done it in the past, you were a player agent yourself. Do the agents come to you? Do the players come to you for advice as well?
They do. They do. I get a lot of players who do, who come to me, because one of the other things, along with College Gridiron Showcase, I run now a consulting company to help athletes vet agents, vet financial advisors. So as part of one of the seminars I do is a professional development seminar for the players. Because again, I've been through the process and explaining to them. So I do find a lot of them come to me, ask for advice, and they're a lot more comfortable doing so. One, because I'm part of the All-Star game, so now there's already a credibility built there. And then once they hear my background, that credibility just kind of hammers home with them. So I do find some that come to me and ask some advice. And some younger agents, once they understand kind of my background as well, some do come up to us for advice as well and talk to me a little bit about it. But they also are very interested in the All-Star process and hey, how many teams are going to be there? How should we approach the team? So we do get that, because one of the things that we are, compared to any of the other All-Star games, we're very accessible. Myself, my partner Jose, who's our executive director, we're very accessible to the players, to agents, to the NFL personnel. We don't just sit in the back and hide. We are very accessible to them. All of our staff are very accessible. Our coaches, we have former NFL players that are coaches, so they want to be there to be mentors for these players. To kind of help answer some questions off to the side. They don't like to promote themselves. They don't like to sit up in front of the seminar and talk about themselves, but they give a quick introduction, and most players kind of recognize their names, and they will pull them to the side and ask some of their questions. And so we try to make ourselves very accessible to everyone there, our sponsors, the agents. That's why we're there. We're not there to hide, but people are, everyone's there to see the players in NFL teams. Yeah. But we try to make ourselves accessible to answer every question we can.
Now, have you found that attendance has been growing year after year?
From the NFL team, absolutely. I mean, we're not, our event's not really a fan type of event. Right now, it's really more for the industry professionals and the families, but the people that we service, what we look at, we service three groups. We service the players, we service the NFL teams, or the teams that come, because we also get CFL teams there as well, and then we service the agents. Those are four, and our sponsors. So those are the groups that we feel the loyalty to and who we're trying to service. Yeah. But every year it has grown. So our first year, it was like, oh, great, hey, another All-Star game. So we had 26 of the 32 NFL teams there. We had 65 NFL scouts. After that year, it's like, hey, it'd be nice. Hope you guys come back. Hope to see you guys might come back. The second year, we had 30 of the 32 NFL teams and 83 NFL scouts. After that year, it was, hey, hope things are going well, because we're going to be back. And we got this past year with 30 NFL teams and 111 scouts, so we do keep growing. Wow. And then this year it's like, can't wait to see what you guys got going for next year. Yeah. So the scouts are very excited about what we have going on. Same thing with the agents. And
is it because you're grabbing from all the different schools, where other All-Star games really confine themselves, don't they?
They do, but they don't. I mean, you try to find the best of the best, but for us, we don't shy away from the small school kid. Actually, we like the small school guy. But I think the reason a lot of teams like to come to us is because we make their job easy. We don't make them try to grab players and pull players to the side in between different things. We set aside time for them to make sure that they get their job done. We try to make it as easy as possible. We're accessible. Our players are accessible. So I think teams really like that aspect of it as well. But we just try to make life as easy as possible for the teams and for the players, because we understand, being a former agent, I understand why players go to these events. Yeah. And why the NFL teams come to these events. My partner is a former coach of 20 plus years at the college level, high school level, and the pro level. Yeah. So he understands from the coaching side what the scouts want to see. So really, we try to make it as easy as possible for them. But what a lot of the scouts tell us is the type of players that we're getting a late round player, the free agent player. That's what saves their jobs. Anyone can tell the top 100 players, right, in the draft. You kind of have an idea of who those players are. But where the scouts really earn their money are those late round picks, those free agent guys who wind up making your roster, who wind up being a big part of your team. That's where the scouts really earn their money. And the players that we're getting at our event are those type of players. So scouts want to see those guys. And the fact that we do it all in one area so they don't have to travel to different countries, we bring them all here.
That's great.
Scouts love that.
Good. Well, we're coming to the end of our show. And usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the parents, the kids that are going to the showcase? What advice do you want to give them?
Just keep playing hard. I mean, that's it. You know, play hard. Do what the coaches are asking you. Put your numbers up. But at the end of the day, we will find you. The scouts will find you. If you're worried about that, visit our website, cgsallstar.com. We have a nomination form. Once we get that, it goes into our database, and our scouts, myself, our director of player personnel, our executive director, we're looking, and if we have scouts in the area, chances are we're going to pop into a game to kind of see that player. We're either going to call the player, call the school to get film, but we literally look at every bit of film that we can to try to find the player. And same thing for the parents. Do your homework on the people that are calling you, that are contacting you from an agent standpoint. If not, call the NFL Players Association. They'll help you out. So, you know, we try to make sure that we're making all the rounds to all the games, all the schools, as much as we can. But, you know, nominate the players. We will look at them. We promise that.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming.
Anthony, thank you.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.